Hi everyone. So our Ecology Without Nature project was creating jewelry. So industrial capitalism has created a society in which materials are consumed rapidly, often with little thought about where they come from, who made them, or what conditions. Fast fashion exemplifies this phenomenon. Garments are produced at unprecedented speed, often by exploited laborers in the global south, using environmentally destructive processes that rely on synthetic materials, excessive water consumption, and toxic dyes. Similarly, the jewelry industry has a long history of extractive violence, child labor, conflict funding, and environmental destruction. The products of these capitalistic industries, whether clothing, jewelry, or electronics, became detached from their origins, existing only as final commodities with no trace of the labor, exploitation, or resource depletion that made them possible.
The gold and diamond industries are deeply tied to human rights abuses, including child labor, forced labor, and violent exploitation, particularly in Sierra Leone, Angola, the Dominican Republic, and Sudan, where armed groups and corrupt governments control mines and force workers into brutal conditions. Blood diamonds continue to fund wars and militias, despite policies attempting to prevent conflict diamonds from entering the global market. The seemingly more sustainable alternative to diamond mining is lab-grown diamonds. However, these require energy-intensive manufacturing processes that leave their own ecological footprint. The gold industry is equally exploitative and imposes additional environmental costs through the use of mercury in the mining process, which leaves behind a toxic mercury vapor that contaminates the air, poisons water sources, and accumulates in ecosystems.
To connect these concepts to things we've discussed in class, William Blake rejected mass replication and hand engraved all of his art, making each work special. Instead of being mechanized in an impersonal production, each piece was unique and had its own variants, even when he was repeating the same illustration. This also took much more time and effort, which we tried to emulate by hand making this jewelry and engraving designs on the rings. Also, in Timothy Morton's Ecology Without Nature, he challenges the traditional view of nature as a separate and idealized entity, arguing that this dualistic view is unproductive when dealing with ecological crises. Morton urges humans to recognize their entanglement with the environment instead of resorting to a protectionist mindset, viewing nature as merely something that needs saving. To challenge this perspective, we chose certain emblems that are present in nature, such as the pearl. Although this pearl is not real, it represents how nature can be intertwined with humanity rather than pushed to the side as something pristine and completely separate. We also engraved designs from nature, including leaves, flowers, and the moon, to further bridge the gap between human production and the natural world.
So for the jewelry making process, we spent 4 hours in the jewelry studio across 2 days. All of the materials we used were scraps, and the beads were reused from other projects, so this project was entirely free. For the wire rings, we wrapped wire scraps around the beads and used tools to secure and shape the wire. Although the metals appear to be gold, they're actually brass, representing the surface level nature of materialism and how society is overly focused on appearances. The other rings are made of copper, and we used hammers and metal sticks with designs on the bottom to engrave different nature designs on the inside and outside of the rings. While we used stencils, no two engravings were exactly the same because we positioned them by hand. Then we shaped the metal and used fire to melt the edges together. Lastly, we filed down the place where the edges met to make the rings smooth.
So these are just some pictures of our results, which we'll be passing around for the class to look at, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation.